There we go. Now we're live. Here we go. Now we're live. All right. Let's get to the comments. All righty. All right, what's going on, everybody? We're going to have a Browns crossover podcast real quick. Won't be very long. One of my guys from the Bleav network, his name is Max Loeb. If anybody, and I hope I'm pronouncing that last name right, but if anybody knows him, check him out on Bleav. Does fantastic work called the Dog Check Podcast. What a fantastic name, by the way. Here we go. We got Max Loeb right here. What's going on, my guy?
Hey, Arlie, how are you? Eric's hopping on here in a second. I'm shooting him a text right now.
Yeah, no problem. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. We are here live with some Houston folk already in the comments section.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we got our Houston faithful in here. Let's go Stroud, obviously. That's going to be one of my questions because, I mean, being the state of Ohio State, I mean, yeah. I would assume that's a little – I wonder who's torn, because y'all are diehard college football people, so I wonder who is torn between Browns and the Buckeyes. But who's your podcast partner's name? Because I don't see it.
Eric Metcalf.
Eric Metcalf. Okay. Former player or?
Yes, he played for the Browns. I want to say 6 years. Special teams guy, running back, great guy. Should be hopping on here hopefully soon. I just sent him a text.
Good. I'll see him in a little bit. So we'll get a little bit of it started. Again, this is the Bleav in Texans podcast. We're here with the Dog Check podcast as we got Eric Metcalf coming on in just a few minutes. Here we go. Unfortunately, we had – hi, how you doing, Mr. Metcalf?
There he is.
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing fantastic, actually. I would usually host this with Ruben, who is my host for the Bleav in Texans. Of course, he is preoccupied, so I'm running here solo with two guys from the Bleav network. We are all here together. This is the Dog Check podcast. Fantastic name, by the way. Dog Check. I mean, come on. That sounds a lot. I need to step up the Bleav in Texans. I need to step up. So go ahead and introduce yourselves. Max or Eric, one of y'all, go ahead and take the show.
You got it, Eric. All you. Oh, he's cutting out a little bit.
No.
My name is Eric Metcalf.
There we go.
Former Cleveland. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Hello, Eric Metcalf.
Yeah, we got you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Metcalf, former Cleveland Brown legend, I guess, at least in my own mind. I wore number 21. I was a running back, receiver, kick returner, punt returner. I guess someone that you could say kind of did it all.
Yeah, he did do it all. I am. Yeah, I'm Max. I believe it or not, I did not play in the NFL. I am 23 years old, fresh out of college. NFL content creator, analyst, whatever you want to call it. Co-hosting the Dog Check with Eric. Been a lot of fun. Been a crazy season so far. I'm excited to talk.
Yeah, man, it's been a fun season over here as well, over in H-Town. Again, I'll introduce myself to y'all since y'all don't really know me. My name's Harley. I have a YouTube channel called The Lead. Fantastic. Do a lot of good stuff. Good content creator over here. So I ran into a lot of shoulders. I've been lucky to gone where I've gone to. Now I'm on Bleav in Texans talking to y'all. So 25 years old on my end, so very young compared to the 3-time Pro Bowler over there. So we got Texans Browns. And look, man, I want to start off with this, and Max already knows who is differentiating between Browns fans and Buckeyes fans, because the state of Ohio is so encapsulated with college football compared to Houston. Like it's all just NFL, U of H, Cougars. I love them, but it'll never get to that, So go ahead.
There's only one school in the state of Texas, and that is the University of Texas. Let's not forget that.
I knew it was coming.
You knew it. I have to stop.
It's all good. Respect to the Longhorns. Go Huskies.
Oh gosh.
Oh no.
They just got an also played shirt.
Hey, we'll take Arch Manning if you don't want him. We'll take Arch Manning if you don't want him.
We're gonna keep it.
But yeah, so how do y'all? Who is differentiating? Who's torn? Because I have a coworker of mine. He's actually from Ohio, and he's a big Buckeyes fan. Now he's lived here in Houston for about a decade and a half now, so he's just grown back to just adopting the folk here with the Texans and the Astros and the Rockets. But he still follows his Cleveland faithful, but he does love the Texans so much because of CJ Stroud. He has family that are Browns fans that are kind of, divided right now between their Buckeye and Browns fandom. What do y'all think about that right now?
I don't know. It's kind of like the Joe Flacco situation. Like Browns fans didn't like Joe Flacco, or actually I guess the inverse. But Browns fans didn't like Joe Flacco for so long, and he came to the Browns, did some great things. They were able to change their mind really quick. So now CJ Stroud, a beloved player in a lot of Ohio, you're able to change your mind pretty quick when you're looking at a rival in the playoffs. Like people love CJ Stroud, and Eric and I talked about this. Like a lot of Browns fans would attest to the fact that the Texans were probably the last team the Browns wanted to play from the AFC South for a lot of different reasons, but definitely part of it was the CJ Stroud thing. And I think Browns fans will be able to differentiate, especially because of the potential of both these teams, but the Browns especially. Like you understand this is a good team, and you understand the Texans are a good team. You can't root for a guy on the other side in the NFL playoffs as much as the college connection means.
And yeah, when I've talked to people, they're like, damn the college connection. It's all about the Browns first and foremost, because that's what they grew up into. A lot of these fans is their family members prior to their fathers, their grandfathers, aunts, uncles, who were Browns fans way back in the day, who kind of groomed them into being Browns fans. And so when I've talked to everyone, they're like, forget Ohio State. It's about Cleveland Browns and hopefully getting an opportunity to get to a Super Bowl.
To stop y'all from the Super Bowl, we're coming to Houston and playing our Houston Texans, who have been the highest of highs so far. How are y'all feeling against a team that just came off from winning the playoffs Saturday to sleeping in and waking up and watching a great Jaguars game for them to choke, and now on our days off, we're the AFC South Division champs? I mean, hey, they were 8-3 at one point, so they choked.
Yeah,
excuse me.
Yeah.
And so the Houston Texans woke up on their day off as AFC South Division champ. Everyone here in Houston is buzzing. The whole city is buzzing. It's electric right now. How are y'all going to combat a hot team right now?
Well, when I think about this, like Max said earlier, that was the last team I wanted the Browns to have to play in the first round. Just because when we played them a few weeks ago, it was Davis Mills and not C.J. Stroud. And that's nothing against Davis Mills, but he's not C.J. Stroud. And C.J. Stroud comes out there and he exudes a different confidence. And I think the team follows him differently when we're talking about him being in the game. At the same time, we had a banged up Will Anderson. He's still a little banged up, but I think he's a little more healthy now than he was at that point. And so we're talking about playing a team that has possibly the offensive rookie of the year and the defensive rookie of the year, along with a candidate for coach of the year. It makes it rough, And so the Browns can't.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's all right.
This is their second week in the playoffs, essentially. Their second week in the playoffs, essentially. And so they're already playoff ready and testing. So they'll be ready, whereas the Browns had to sit out didn't have to, but they sat out people last week, rested them. So now they got to try to get that fire back.
Yeah, this is definitely, I know, technically CJ Stroud's first playoff game. It's not. Like the last week was a playoff game, and you see, like Eric said, they follow him differently. It's just a different energy, a different swagger when he's on the field. And I think, like we keep saying it, but like this is not who the Browns wanted to play. That's the reality of the situation. This is the best team in the AFC South, the hottest team in the AFC South. So if you're the Browns coming to this game, you understand the threat that Houston poses. But at the same time, like you got a week off to rest a bunch of your players. You got a couple other defensive players who didn't play last time against Houston coming back. Like, this is a very, very even playing field, at least in my mind right now.
Yeah, I'm excited for this game. Again, we have a bunch of, all of the Texans fans are just going nuts. It's just everyone's just vibing right now. And maybe Browns fans for sure probably will hate CJ for 4 quarters. At the end of the day, this is a playoff game, So I totally agree with y'all there. What is the mindset right now, man? Y'all have a really good defense. You have a strong offense, a potent offense. We saw it firsthand behind, I Bleav Amari Cooper is somewhere still running routes in NRG. I'm sure somewhere he's still there. It was ridiculous what happened. But, sometimes the gracious of defeats hopefully turns around for the Texans. But how are y'all feeling right now? What's the temperature check in Cleveland?
You can take it first.
I think it's a cautious excitement because you understand the potential of this team, right? It's a defense that's been good all year long. A lot of the touchdowns they have given up have come because they've been in bad situations, or teams have run the ball back to the 1 yard line on a pick, or they've scored defensively. So like the whole points per game thing doesn't put into perspective. But when you look at how fast the Browns defense gets teams off the field, how few yards they're allowing. Like, this is a defense that's been good, and as crazy as it sounds, probably the healthiest it's been since the beginning of the year. Even if they don't have Grant Delpit back this Saturday, still very, very healthy compared to what they looked like 3-4 weeks ago. But offensively, now you understand you have a quarterback that can not only manage the game but go make plays with his arm. You've unlocked these playmakers that Browns fans have kind of seen the talent of, but haven't seen the overall production from. These playmakers are unlocked. Like talked about, Amari Cooper had a huge game last time these two teams played, but David Njoku has been one of the most unguardable players in the entire NFL the second half of the season. So I think Browns fans understand how good this team can be, but again, there's a little bit of caution because you're going to a stadium and you're going to play a team that's also really hot and really good and has their own thing going for it, even though it's a little bit different.
Yeah, when we talk about it, this is the playoffs, right? And so a team might have a lesser record than you, but they're in the playoffs. It's one game for everyone.
Yeah.
When you're in, losing, you're out. And so a lot of people don't understand, especially coming from a player standpoint, when you're in the playoffs and you're playing these games, players actually make less money for this game than they do in regular season games. So when you're in these, it's about the love of the game and trying to get possibly to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl championship, right? And people don't understand that. So you go in this game with a different mindset because it's not about money or anything else. It's about winning and beating the other team. And so looking at the Browns and what they have, like Max said, they're probably healthier than they've been all year. Granted, even though missing a bunch of people, but still healthier than they've been. And so with that defense, they pose a threat for the Texans, but I think the Texans pose a threat for them as well because we haven't seen what they're going to offer us. I mean, the C.J. Stroud to Nico connection, right? We haven't actually seen that firsthand. We've seen it on film, but they haven't seen that or played against it. Now, and at the same time, we haven't seen. They haven't seen a lot of things from the Browns that they probably held back, right? And so because we were winning that game pretty handily at the time. So I think it's going to be a chess match between both teams where Schwartz will try to do some things to confuse C.J. Stroud and D'Amico and those guys will do some things to try to confuse Joe Flacco, which is kind of hard to do when you're talking about somebody who's as old as me, right?
How much stock are y'all grabbing from that first game? And how much stock are y'all grabbing? Like, how much do y'all – because, y'all, I'm so glad I'm talking to more, and I'm about to sound disrespectful, but I'm so glad I'm talking to more sensible Browns fans because there's been a bunch of them in my comment section saying it's just going to be a replay of the first game, bud. And I'm going, no, it's not. There's a lot of guys that were out for the last game or left the last game really quickly that are going to be playing for this game, for the playoffs. So how much stock are y'all holding from that first game? What are y'all taking from it, if any?
it's tough. Like you definitely can't look at that past game and say it's the same, because it's very clearly not just because the Texans have CJ Stroud, but because the Texans didn't have Will Anderson, they didn't have Blake Cashman. Like they didn't have a lot of their best defensive players. The only thing, or I guess two things that you can kind of take away, at least partially confidently, was one, what the Browns were able to do through the air. Like you, as a Browns fan, you feel confident, you understand the potential that Amari Cooper has against that secondary. And again, I don't think they fully unlocked David Njoku that game. So you understand that potential. We also look at how the Browns defensive line went up against the Texans offensive line. And that's another thing that, I mean, Eric and I have talked about this. If Myles Garrett and that defensive line can wreck the game, the Browns are going to win. So if they can do that, you kind of take a page out of that last book or last game and say, oh, they were able to do X, Y, and Z's. Darius Smith played a better game. Like that you can look at, but you can't holistically take that last game and say, yeah, this is going to happen again. You'd be fooling yourself.
By no means. I mean, we can talk about how the Browns defensive line played well against the Texans offensive line, but going into this game, you know the Texans are going to do something different.
Yeah,
they're going to do something different to protect C.J. Stroud, because they know that's what has to happen. And so they made some plays, so you can look at that and say, okay, if we can get to them, whoever it is, we have a shot of slowing this passing game down. And at the same time, like Max said, we saw that we could throw the ball on them, and we were very effective. And granted, that was just one person for the most part, but we could spread it around at the same time. And I would say, look back to the Colts game and watch what they did with Jonathan Taylor, right? Because they were able to just run the ball down their throats. And so if we can develop some run like the Colts did, on top of how they unlocked that passing game, it could be trouble for that Texans defense.
Yeah. The big thing the Colts did, just schematically, the runs that they were throwing against us, it's the same way they were doing the first game with us. Just a lot of traps. Here, we're going to pull the guard consistently. We're going to make sure there's a helmet on Christian Harris, because 48, you will find out who Christian Harris is. He is an absolute monster against the run game. He just stops every flat there is for the running back. He's just on top of the running back like glue. So what the Colts do, put a hat on him, get him out the way, and then let Jonathan Taylor work. And they did that to perfection, specifically in the second half. Will Anderson was hobbled in the game. They also realized, he's only playing on third down, pass rushing, obvious opportunities there. So then it was like, okay, Will, sorry, but you're going to have to just play. So it's a lot of fun to get into this. Y'all mentioned David Njoku. Is that the guy offensively for y'all? Is that the guy that Texans fans should be looking at? Because we got Blake Cashman back, and I'm pretty confident in Cashman's coverage abilities, as well as, this being a second game in D'Amico Ryans and how he's going to change things up as well. Is Njoku that guy that Texans fans should be paying attention to, besides the obvious ones?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's that guy. I think when he's focused and playing his best football, like he has been the last few weeks, and what got him to the Pro Bowl, he is on the same level as the Kittles and the Kelseys and all those guys. That's when he's focused and playing good football, which people say he wasn't doing in the previous years and at the beginning of this year. And so he is a guy who can change the outcome of this game. He whether it be in the screen game or down the field or even over the middle. That's where he's making plays, because a lot of his plays have been catch and run for a lot of yards.
Yeah.
You see, he hasn't caught anything down the field or running. It's like catch at maybe 10 yards or even some screens and then turn it into big plays. And that's what he's done well this season. They've done a good job of getting him the ball. So he's a person that you have to look at when you're talking about D'Amico and Cashman and those guys trying to cover him.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, obviously Cooper is the guy you have to look at just because of what happened last game. But, yeah, I think I would say Texans fans should be more worried if he has the ball in space than if he's targeted. He's a little different when he gets the ball in his hands. It's a 6'6" guy running like the wood. You don't want to tackle him. So I think that has to be the other guy for the Browns this week.
Yeah, Cedric Tillman, is he going to be out for this game?
Yeah.
He's out.
Anybody else that notables? Y'all did mention some injuries. Denzel Ward, that's the big thing across all Texans group chats. Is he playing? Is he not playing? Oh, my goodness. personally, whoever plays. Let me see what's going on. He just tweeted out a highlight video of him.
Yeah,
so
I saw that. Yeah.
What is he playing? What's going on there?
It seems to act like he's playing, right?
Yeah, right.
We don't know if it's fake or not. But as a Browns fan, you want him to be out there. He's one of the best corners in this league. And so that changes how they play defense, because now if he doesn't play, now you bump down to the third and fourth guy, right? So when you're talking about him being your number one, then you got Emerson and Newsome right after that, it makes it tough for people to get passes off or just get routes off. And so we want Denzel to be out there. If he can't go and be the Denzel that he's been all year, then we'd rather have him be on the sideline. But he's one of those players that if he can get down, you want him to get down.
Yeah, and I think if the Texans fans who watched that last game, like, you probably didn't hear Denzel Ward's name a lot, and that's what he does. Like, he just eliminates the side of the field. So him playing essentially does that. Obviously, he's going to be targeted, occasionally give up a play, but him playing, he's done that all year long, especially with the amount of man coverage the Browns play. So I think Browns fans not only want him on the field, I think the Browns kind of need him on the field, if we're being 100% honest, especially in that secondary. So it sounds like he's going to play, seems like he's going to play, but I guess you won't know till tomorrow.
Test him out, see what's going on with that knee real quick.
Yeah.
Nico Collins, man, almost dropped 200 on the Colts, 5 yards shy of it. So we're talking about defense. I mentioned one X factor essentially for the offense. Who's that guy defensively? Because Texans fans, I was telling them, watch out for Martin Emerson Jr. The dude is legit. He's only 23, 24 years old. He is a legit cornerback in this league. And they're like, oh, who's that guy? You're about to find out. And he is absolutely every piece of six. What is he, 6'1", 6'2"? I know he's
large.
Corner?
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that, because if Denzel doesn't play, because they don't really travel and follow receivers, but do you really want a Denzel Ward following Nico Collins around an entire game with that size? You know what I mean? And so if he's going to move around and he goes to the side and you got Mark, now we're talking about guys who are pretty much the same size and build. And so it makes it a tougher challenge as far as C.J. Stroud trying to get the ball to Nico Collins. So I'm glad you brought Emerson up.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's the secondary for sure. Like, that's what the Texans are going to want to do. They're going to want to take the deep shot. They're going to want to throw the ball down the field. But Eric and I talked about this. Biggest stage, your biggest players have to make big plays. I think this has to be the Myles Garrett game. I think it has to be. I think he played well last time. Again, he was still in the midst of that sack drought during that game, I Bleav. But he played well, and I think this game, like, you got to do everything you can to cut him loose, because when you talk about players that can single-handedly wreck a game, he's in that small category. I think if he, like I said earlier, if he does it, they can win. They will win. Will he do it is the question.
I think that's a big. Go ahead.
Like we talked about the other day, is I say all the DBs because it's a matter of who is covering Nico Collins, because we know that's who's getting the ball. We know who that's getting the ball. So who on this particular play will be over Nico Collins? That's who I need to be the X factor, especially when we're talking passing downs, right? If we're talking 1st and 10, it's a little difficult to tell if they're going to throw the ball or not. But we're talking about 3rd down or passing downs. Who is on him? That's my X factor, because he is getting the ball, and I need them to play good defense on him.
Yeah, absolutely. I Bleav it, man. The Houston Texans, the last 3 matchups against Myles Garrett, goose egg, 0 sacks. Did perform very well, though, last time they did play him. George Fant is going to be playing at right tackle for the Houston Texans. Charlie Heck was at right tackle. Zadarius Smith, Myles Garrett. They ate his lunch up. It wasn't pretty. So the offensive line should be better on paper with George Fant. He's performed very well this whole year for us. I know I don't want to take up too much of y'all's time. I know, Max, you got to get going. So we'll go ahead real quick. I'm optimistic about this game as much as many Texans fans are. Okay, I'll just be honest. I think it's a all or nothing kind of mindset we've got here. We're happy, we're excited, and we're ecstatic in all of those synonyms thrown together. So I am optimistic. Come on with the score predictions for me. I need to hear it.
With all those synonyms and you guys being ecstatic and excited and all that, you better add one, and that's disappointed. And because I got the Browns 27-23. I think they pretty much handled the Texans. Texans scored late to make it 27-23, but I think the Browns win it. Pretty much going away.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think one of the things I'm more confident about than the winner of the game is the fact that there are going to be a lot of points. Like, I think there are going to be plays made through the air on both sides. I have the Browns. I Bleav I said 31-30. I have the Browns winning. Last second field goal. I know Dustin Hopkins isn't playing. You forget Riley Patterson kicked a game-winning field goal in the division or wild card round last year too. Like, it's not like he's a horrible kicker. I think Browns fans got to get that through their head, at least for now. But I think it's a moderately high-scoring game. I think plays are made through the air. I think the Browns win 31-30.
I got it, guys, for my Houston Texans, of course. I am, like I said, optimistic, as well as all my H-Town folk are optimistic. We're tired of hearing a lot of this disrespect coming from the national media. We don't like to hear that no more. We're tired of it. It definitely feels like it's very favorable for the Cleveland Browns to just match up against the Baltimore Ravens already. And, I go to that Pat McAfee clip, and, I did rewatch the whole thing, and I don't recall Stephen A. actually saying those words verbatim, quote for quote, but they did say that, that we don't got no chance against the Cleveland Browns, essentially. And I like that way my rookie quarterback reacted. I like the way he rocks that Kobe Bryant shirt every once in a while, and he wore it last week. I expect him to wear something similar this week because I got the Houston Texans 31-27. I do Bleav the Houston Texans are dropping the 30-piece on this Browns defense. I think C.J. Stroud's got something to prove, and he's going to show the world in the NFL that, hey, playoffs are here, and playoff C.J. Stroud is coming. Joe Flacco, got to be some interceptions in there for us to win this game. Has to be, and he's thrown one, as many as possible. He throws cookies. It's just whether or not you want to take them. Like, he's going to give you a cookie. Right. Chocolate chip, oatmeal raisin. It don't matter what flavor. You're going to get one, though. So the Houston Texans got to capitalize on it. 31-27 is my final score. Guys, any last-minute thoughts? Trash talk, throw it my way. I have no problem with it.
I got nothing.
Hey, all I'm going to say is I feel good about this for the Cleveland Browns fans. It's about the NFL and what needs to be seen. It needs to be Flacco going back to Baltimore. The Browns playing the old Browns. It's all those storylines that are going to keep you from going. and so that's what we have to look forward to. So go Browns.
Well, I do Bleav Cinderella, that it's going to strike midnight, man. And that pumpkin's going to come on out. Joe Flacco, it's going to be a reason why he was sitting on that couch for so long.
At midnight, the game will be over.
At midnight is when Saturday starts.
It'll be long over.
Well, we're having a lot of fun, guys. I appreciate everybody that has tuned in. Max, Eric, if y'all want to plug y'all's channel shamelessly, go ahead. Tell everyone where to find y'all.
Yeah, well, our podcast is The Dog Check, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that. My handle is Loeb's Leads, LOEBSLEADS, on all those platforms too.
Max does it for us. He's our son. But you can find me on Twitter, Eric Metcalf 21.
All right. Well, I do appreciate every single one of y'all that has tuned in. Remember, my name is Harley. You can always find me at @the_lead_Houston, where I talk all Houston all the time. So this is the Bleav in Texans podcast, along with the Dog Check podcast. Signing off. Appreciate everybody that has joined in on the live stream. And we are